Welcome to This Explainer. You know, every single case leaves behind evidence, and every mystery leaves behind questions. Today, we're going to examine how a tiny, almost invisible piece of DNA, combined with a massive digital trail, managed to solve one of America's most chilling recent crimes. What started out as a horrific, baffling event ultimately showed us the profound, undeniable power of modern forensics. Some crimes leave a local community in shock, but others? They leave an entire nation desperately searching for answers. And for weeks following this tragedy, investigators had absolutely nothing. No suspect, no murder weapon, no clear motive. The public was totally on edge. But it really all came down to one critical question. How did one minuscule trace of evidence completely break this case wide open? Section 1. A community in shock. Before we dig into the timeline and the evidence, we absolutely must pause to respectfully honor the victims. On November 13, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students were found murdered inside an off-campus home. Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. These were 4 young people with their whole lives ahead of them, and their sudden, tragic deaths didn't just devastate the small college town of Moscow, Idaho, it immediately made international headlines. Moving to Section 2, the investigation begins on November 13th, 2022. Let's look at exactly how the baffling mystery of that fateful night started to unfold. So, in the really early hours of November 13th, an intruder entered the students' rental house. Tragically, the 4 victims were fatally stabbed. Now, 2 roommates actually survived, having remained in their separate bedrooms. And one of those surviving roommates reported seeing a masked man leaving the house shortly after the attacks. But of course, the suspect fled out into the night long before police ever arrived. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Investigators collected thousands of photos and forensic samples, but physically, they had almost 0 leads. No initial suspect, no weapon, just a really vague description of a masked figure. But digitally, a massive clue emerged. Security cameras in the area caught a white Hyundai Elantra repeatedly driving near the crime scene. This vehicle quickly became one of the absolute biggest clues in the entire investigation. Section 3. The DNA breakthrough. This was the true turning point. Because despite the vehicle clue, investigators still needed something definitively tying a suspect to the room. And it turns out, the whole trajectory of this massive investigation changed because of just one single item. Literally just one. It's honestly like a giant puzzle coming together. Step 1, police recovered a knife sheath left right there at the crime scene. Step 2, they successfully extracted a tiny, tiny trace of DNA found on that sheath. Step 3, they applied advanced forensic genetic genealogy to the sample, which brings us to Step 4. That DNA was a match, definitively identifying Bryan Kohberger. Section 4, the digital trail, tracking the footprints. You see, science alone wasn't quite enough. Investigators needed to build a comprehensive digital web to back up what the DNA was telling them. Through incredibly meticulous police work, they layered the evidence. Cell phone records linked Kohberger to the area around the victim's home both before and after the murders took place. Then, surveillance footage tracked his vehicle, that white Hyundai Elantra we talked about earlier, throughout the night. It formed this incredibly tight digital net, placing him right at the scene. Which brings us to Section 5, Arrest and Justice, closing the net. This intricate web of physical, forensic, and digital evidence led straight to the suspect's capture. Fast forward a bit to December 30, 2022. Bryan Kohberger was arrested at his family's home in Pennsylvania. Over the following weeks, he was extradited back to Idaho to face multiple murder charges. The investigation had successfully laid out months of digital and forensic evidence connecting him to the crime. And finally, after years of extensive legal proceedings, Kohberger pleaded guilty in 2025 to avoid the death penalty. This plea brought a really abrupt end to one of the most closely watched criminal cases in recent history. But most importantly, it finally allowed the families of the victims to deliver their emotional statements in court, seeking some semblance of closure after just an unimaginable loss. Section 6. The legacy of the case. While the loss of these 4 young students forever changed their families and their community, the resolution of this case left a profound mark on modern investigations. So, why does all of this matter? Well, this explainer demonstrates the sheer power of the modern investigative toolkit. When you combined DNA science, digital forensics, surveillance, and cell phone data tracking, investigators can honestly solve the unsolvable. It highlights the incredible power of forensic genetic genealogy, proving that in today's world, a perpetrator is absolutely going to leave a footprint. What began as a terrifying unknown was ultimately solved through careful police work and advanced science. It serves as a sobering reminder, for sure. Even the smallest piece of evidence, like a single drop of DNA, can uncover the truth. But, as Midnight Files notes, some mysteries are solved, others remain hidden in the darkness. So, what seemingly unsolvable mystery will modern science illuminate